Slowest acid ever.
Yes.
Right?
Don't you have a vat of acid in your basement that slowly eats things if you really need them to?
No, I've got a vat of acid that quickly eats things.
I watch a lot of chemistry videos, Nile Red and Explosions in Fire and a few other channels. And I think there are slow working acids, but not quite as slow as the acid that we see in this episode.
I mean, it depends what the statue-y thing is made of, but
that's true. That is a very important component. Now you mention it, yeah.
But I'm just marveling at the health and safety in the palace to have the
just a big vat of acid in the basement.
Yeah.
Large vat of unattended acid and big hanging hooks.
That will eat the metal that the princess has been turned into.
Yeah,
the hooks are there for safety.
Yeah, this is every interior designer's plan for the basement of a.
Oh, this episode, man!
All right,
this episode.
Let's get into it. Hi, friends.
Hello, puppets.
Howdy, y'all.
And welcome to Muppet Sex and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat, the Fat Culture Critic on YouTube.
I'm Jack Kramme, editor / right-hand man for Passion of the Nerd and editor for Chipperish Media.
And I'm Josh Gosdin, and like so many people in this particular episode, I'm just trying to get ahead.
I'm sure might be my favorite one. Who are just trying to give. No, I probably.
Whoa! Really?
So I just couldn't help it. That was sitting there.
I mean, Scorpius at one point was trying to take head, but
he absolutely was.
Yeah. Wait. Okay.
He was also sort of bobbing for head
or
fishing for it.
They were all competing over it.
Yes.
That must be some good head.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. But I'm not really sorry.
No, we're getting
never
more
be
jokes.
Sorry.
More jokes.
So we are here to talk about the episode, the third part of the Look at the Princess trilogy, the episode, The Maltese Crichton. Look at the Princess Part 3, The Maltese Crichton, written by David Kemper and directed by Andrew Prouse and Tony Tilsey. When last we left our heroes, Zahn was comforting Pilot as Moya and he were dying, submitting to the will of Kahenu, one of Moya's gods. John was forced to choose between a life married to Princess Catrala or life as a lab rat for Scorpius. Erin, struggling with her feelings about John's wedding, picked up the nearest floppy-haired douchebag and took him for a hike. With the wedding completed, John and his new wife were turned into statues, as they are to remain for 80 years. Or are they? We open with Statue Crichton having a tearful goodbye with Chiana, Rigel, and Dargo. See, he can still hear and talk. Well, at least if the listener has a special headset to hear him. John has resigned himself to Statue Head and his new role as consort. But someone else is not so resigned to their position. Flavor, the petty whinging prince, is whinging at the statue and lamenting his fate. Cargen, the Scaran envoy, suggests doing something more effective and just lops John's head off. Luckily for John, the statue process has a get-out-of-decapitation clause, and he can live with a detached head. And in a play straight out of the Bond villain's handbook, Clavor has decided to toss John's head into the convenient acid vat of convenience and just leave him there to dissolve. The palace is in an uproar looking for John's head, but someone has had an interest in that head for some time. Scorpius. He fishes the head out of the convenient vat of convenient acid, but he's so pleased with himself he stops to monologue, and an unseen stranger shoots him and yoinks the head for themselves. Elsewhere in Misty Space, Zahn is working with a DRD on John's module as Kahenu approaches. He tells her she should leave, take a transport, and save herself. But Zahn is determined. If Moya is to die, not only will she stay, she'll make Kahenu stay too. On command, the DRD flips a switch, and as a fan on the module sucks Kahenu in, she says, "Spare Moya or die with us." But Kahenu refuses and is fully sucked into the module, apparently trapped. Back on the planet, and Erin has taken her FHD to a cliff face for an afternoon of rock climbing. She checks to ask if he knows what he's doing, and he brags that he's rated excellent, then swoops in for a kiss. She points out how he's agreeing to everything she says, and he smarms that he is very agreeable. Back at the palace, we find out who has John's head. It's Genovia, Clavor's fiance/peacekeeper spy. She decided to save Crichton for some reason, and she's able to reunite him with his body, and now John is whole and alive, to the relief of anyone who thought the show might actually kill John Crichton. Halfway up a cliff wall, Erin realizes she should have questioned her FHD's qualifications just a little bit closer. He's not actually been on a real cliff before, and he panics. He grabs her leg, and they fall. Well, now the Empress is really mad. Not only is the head missing, but Crichton is entirely missing. She threatens to expel all off-worlders. Clavor and Cargen start bickering and threatening one another, and Cargen heat lamps Dargo to tell him where John is. Dargo thinks of Chiana, and Cargen takes him at the thought. Where is the missing Crichton? Well, he's on a tent on a beach with Genovia, being interrogated at knife point. Now she knows he's not a spy or even a Sebastian, she wants answers. And over a commercial break, John tells his story. In Misty Space, Zahn prays over a still silent pilot when Kahenu appears, not trapped. He tells her everything that came before was just a bit of a test of her, just to be sure she's worthy to protect Moya and to be sure that she won't be used to breed gunships. And now that she's passed his little watch your beloved friends die test, he wakes Moya and Pilot and offers Zahn a parting gift. One last chance to hear Moya speak. Moya asks Zahn to sing for her, and Zahn weeps happy tears. In the Badlands, Erin and the FHD are wounded, but she's able to fashion a sled for him and with the aid of a crutch begins to drag him slowly back towards the palace. When they're stopped for the night, he talks to her about love. He sees how frightened she is of it, of the pain, but he says it's worth it for all the days before the pain. Meanwhile, John's night is spent in a bit more comfort as he has a Captain Kirk quickie with Genovia, building her trust as she decides she can use him for her mission. At the palace the next day, Cargen has kidnapped Chiana, and he's also lost patience with Clavor, who, in his petty, ineffectual way, had tried to turn on him. Cargen fries the bitch and leaves his corpse. Dargo and Scorpius have formed a temporary alliance to kill Cargen and find Chiana and John. Erin has finally dragged the FHD close enough to civilization to be spotted, and as they wait for rescue, he encourages her to tell Crichton how she feels about him, even if it accomplishes nothing. Just tell him. Clavor's body has been discovered as Genovia and Crichton return to the palace. As they prepare to return to their roles in the Shakespearean drama, she offers him the kissing potion. John refuses. He knows they're not compatible. She's fine with that and tosses the vial. Re-entering the drama, Genovia weeps over the body of her dead fiancé and slaps John when he offers sympathy, because we needed one more slap. And John goes in search of Cargen. Scorpius, Dargo, and John all converge at the convenient acid vat of convenience, while Cargen is holding Chiana hostage, dangling over the vat of convenient acid of convenience. As they fight, it becomes clear that Scorpius is suffering from the heat, and Cargen monologues to fill the audience in on Scorpius's existence as a Scaran-Sebastian hybrid, that his body produces the heat that puts his brain into Sebastian heat delirium, and that's why he has a cooling suit. Exposition done, John manages to shoot the Scaran enough times to dump him in the convenient acid vat of convenience, while Dargo rescues Chiana. Cargen dead, Dargo and Chiana leave John alone with a suffering Scorpius. John struggles with himself to kill Scorpius and be done with him, or to let him go. In the end, he's unable to do it and leaves. As soon as he's alone, Scorpius ceases all signs of struggling and makes his exit with a jaunty little flip of the convenient acid vat of convenience. With the bad guys dead or gone, there only remains the issue of John's marriage. He doesn't want to be a statue again. But the Empress tells him that Catrale is already pregnant. It turns out they do actually have artificial insemination on this planet. All right, says John, stepping up to parenthood, make me a statue. But Tyno tells him he can't take the machine again. It will probably kill him. That's when John suggests that Tyno take his place as a statue, as a husband, as a consort, and as a father. Both Tyno and Catrala consent to this, and John is given a brief moment with the holographic representation of his future child that he will never meet. Sometime later on Moya, Dargo and Shiana reflect on John's inability to kill Scorpius and on the child he will never see. And in the cargo bay, John finds Erin exercising her healed legs. He tries to talk to her, but she doesn't have words. What she does have is a vial of the kissing potion. In silence, she offers it, and in silence, he takes it. A drop for him, a drop for her, and they kiss. Still in silence, she withdraws, turns to camera, and slowly, they both smile. So there's
to be fair, there is a fake out where she looks sad and then she smiles, which I could have done without.
That is a lot of plot.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh boy. Boy, was this whole trilogy was a lot of freaking plot, man. And this episode, I feel the way I feel about this episode is the way I feel about this entire trilogy. A net positive, a net good. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, but I had some issues with some of the elements, some of the moving parts, some of the aspects of it, and then others I just freaking loved. So yeah, like I'm really glad we watched this. It was fun, but I'm sort of glad it's over too. Like I'm glad we can move on. Like I don't know.
Yeah, 3 episodes on this planet was a lot, and I had mixed feelings about this episode. I spent the first half of the episode just kind of sighing a little bit and man, this is a little I'm not really all that and then spent the last half of the episode like just emotionally engrossed and on the edge of my seat and like what is this show doing to me and everything like that, and the bizarre juxtaposition between what felt like a start of the episode that was both slow and hurried, and a fantastically emotional denouement to this whole trilogy.
Yeah, we will get to that last scene.
Not even just the last scene, like the whole last half of the episode.
Yeah. I also have mixed feelings about this. There are some great highs and there's also a lot of meh. And then there's John randomly sleeping with the bitch.
And there's also, just a lot of like, what the fuck is what I would say. There was a lot of what the fuck. I will say there is some there's some in the whole sleeping with Katrala thing. We'll get that out of the way first because it's one of those what the fuck moments, I think. And it's fair that it's a bit of a what the fuck moment. They were attempting to the network execs had been interfering, and they wanted more sex, more like Captain Kirky stuff. Okay.
And like they went with lots more sex with the Dargo and Shiana, but they wanted. Yeah. I guess they wanted to get John laid.
Jesus, because
good for John.
Yeah, and it comes out of nowhere. It means nothing.
And it kind of sullies the him and Erin finally, I don't want to say getting together, but that's what it looks like, It sort of it didn't ruin it for me, but I'm like, this would mean so much more to me if I didn't just see John hook up with some random chick, essentially. Like, she's just a random. Yeah,
it's totally meaningless. It makes sense that they're sort of two spies. It's like, I don't know, she's a spy and he sort of gets her to trust him. I don't know, there's a Captain Kirky thing. But then they go and film it like this big romantic thing. It's like, no, this is a hookup with a random girl who is also just hooking up with him as a random. Like this is not this is not the stuff of rising music and big pools of whatever lagoon thing. This is not, it's not really that, and yet they go all the way there. And then also Erin is not having a similar experience, so it just kind of ends up being kind of like, and they did that and moving on.
The whole thing, like he banged her right out of the plot, to be fair. I mean,
Yeah, actually, yeah.
She just vanishes after that.
Yeah, she disappears. She's just gone. Like, what?
Well, no, she's not gone. She has her weeping over the guy thing, and it's never explained why that matters to the plot.
Yeah, because she's a spy. She's there to kill whoever needs to be killed. Like, it's
It serves her mission to make sure Cargen's dead, but she doesn't participate in that.
Weeping over the prince made sense to me because she's still a spy. She still has a cover to maintain, and presumably she's going to stick around for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get the sense that her mission was over, but the character stopped mattering after that.
Yeah.
Like it was a really weird kind of like he banged her out of the plot is what happened, and I liked some parts of that hookup from a like.
It was well filmed. It looked pretty.
Sure, it was aesthetically pleasing on a number of levels, but from a like mutual adrenaline, thank God we're alive. I would imagine that Crichton is probably the most interesting person that she's met, that she actually has a connection with this whole time that she's been on assignment. But also, like I thought, I mean, maybe now she's irreversibly contaminated. Does that still matter to the peacekeepers? It was just a lot of it. Just it interrupted a lot of things in a way that was very unsatisfying.
My initial reaction was just straight up annoyance, because what I thought they were doing, I thought they were creating another roadblock between John and Aaron. Like I thought, great, more drama to keep them apart. Like I was really annoyed. Then they didn't do that, but it's still. It did kind of sully the end for me, because I'm like, wait, John just banged some chick and now he's all like warm and fuzzy, like for Aaron again. Like, come on.
Yeah. And Ben Browder doesn't like this either.
Oh, okay.
I was surprised more fans weren't more annoyed by it. But yeah, it is just like out of left field, one night stand, filmed like a romance novel.
Yeah,
with the girl whose role appears in the plot to appear out of nowhere and save John from certain death.
So she's a little proto Aaron. She's a little beginning of season 1 Aaron, and I mean it seems like maybe they tried to tie her to Aaron's rock climbing fiasco. But Drogon or Dregs or whatever his name wasn't
Prince Charming, I call him.
yeah
floppy haired douchebag.
He's not really a reflection of John.
No.
And so the parallelism kind of breaks apart there.
The only way he reflects John is that he's open.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because John is emotionally open and he's emotionally open, but he's not like he's emotionally open in service of getting laid. He's done and like seducing, and he's
a Lothario.
Yeah, I mean, he's not for nothing. Is he named after Casanova?
And ultimately, he serves a great purpose. Like that chat beside the fire was amazing, and some of the dialogue. Holy crap!
That chat beside the fire was what brought me back into the episode, because the whole rock climbing thing and the fall, and now she's dragging him. I was like, what's happening? Like, why is it this relevant?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do we care about this?
And I'm like, why are they on some cliff face in Cronulla somewhere?
Yeah,
that's a suburb of Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Aaron's subplot in this episode is, I think, my least favorite.
It's a weird choice to I kind of understand the separating them, and I think like the situation that they'd set up, if she rescued him as you guys had predicted, I think that might escalate the relationship faster than the writers wanted it to escalate.
As it turns out, she stops mattering to the story.
Yeah.
Because even by the time she gets back, the main conflict is resolved.
Yeah, it's sort of as Zahn's side side quest resolves, Erin is on her own side quest.
Which we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will.
Okay. So are we ready to talk about Kahanu's stupid "Watch Your Friends Die" test?
Not yet. Not yet. So that's the conversation beside the fire. Really, really great. I love the dialogue. You know, you're not trained to deal with emotions, so you're afraid of them. Emotional pains you wear like a badge. It means you've been there. Great stuff. And you can see, like, I knew in my bones that it got through to Erin. And once again, I thought, oh, great. Erin's gonna fall in love with John now, and John's gonna be like, well, I just banged this other chick, and I'm glad they didn't do it, but it just makes it all fit together not as well. I don't know.
Yeah. I think Erin is like, she's moved forward a baby step emotionally in this, but I don't think she's come that far from throwing the canopy opening and running away.
Right. Yeah.
But even the way that she moved forward is so, like, unearned. That's the word for it. It's so unearned.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not like it.
It's a conversation, but did he swallow the magic counselor pill to suddenly turn into Deanna Troi?
He must have. He landed on his counselor ass.
Yeah. Yeah, he's all of a sudden he's insightful, and he's stopped trying to bang her, and now he's going to play Yenta.
Yeah. But yeah, are we ready now to move on to
yes,
Zahn and
Gods and stupid tests?
I was really intrigued last episode where all this was gonna go, and then I'm just like, it was a test. Like, it felt the same as when you see something really crazy happen, and then a character wakes up in bed and then was all in a dream. Like, that's how it felt to me in a way. I just wish I just wish it was more imaginative and like creative, and just like, psych, gotcha. Like, dude, come on. I don't know. But I did like that we got to see a little glimpse of, like, Dark Zahn, kind of. Again, that is the Zahn that I want to explore. But I'm worried, like, every other time, then it just disappears and we don't see it for ages. I feel like that's going to be the case. But yeah, what a missed opportunity for something really cool. I don't know. They could have written something so emotional or something, or just better. I think I wish Moya had more to do with all of that too.
Yeah, missed opportunities is absolutely the phrase for the Zahn plot. Just I was intrigued by. I was with it. And this is the only reason why it wasn't my least favorite plot. I was with the plot up until Kahino came back and was like, "Psych, it's all a test." Because at the point that she's sucking him into the engine to try to, like, basically torture him into reviving Moya, I was like, oh yeah, fuck him up, Zahn. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Put the god in the machine.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Zahn versus a god has been done a couple of times on the show. Maltese twice, and kind of the sexy tree of life with the other Delvians. At the very least, versus somebody with great power. And Zahn is, at this point, to me, the character that can compete on that level. And having her have to grapple with, do I love my friends, or am I once again stepping away from the Delvian Seek because, I love my friends more than
Uh-oh.
Kahino got mad and made Josh freeze. But it'll be just a test to make sure that we are able to.
Josh's face is how I feel about this subplot. There he is.
There, we earned the forgiveness of the capricious god who just plays silly games.
My home Wi-Fi has been doing this to me all day. Sorry, guys.
No, it's fine.
But so what was I saying? Oh, because having Zahn fight a god is good, but then nothing happened. Like I was expecting other people from Kahinu's pantheon to come down.
Something grander, something bigger.
Something other than him just popping back up and saying like, congratulations, you passed. Like, fuck you.
It's almost like they didn't know what to do. They had this cool idea and didn't know how to finish it, how to see it to a conclusion.
My chief Zahn complaint on the show so far.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Pilot wakes up in way too good of a mood. Moya is not upset at all.
Like, Moya's like, sing for me. Like, I loved that. It was cute and everything. Yeah. Like, I really liked that, but
and like, it was a test. Let's just watch your friends die.
What was the test?
I was just about to ask that too. What?
Was it making sure she would fight for them?
I think that's the only.
Like, I think that's what it's supposed to be. Like, you're willing to fight for them because they won't fight for themselves.
Right. You won't just give up.
Cool. Yeah. Could we have seen more challenges? Could we have seen something to that just effect?
Like it. Yeah, like I said before, it was a real opportunity for like some sort of emotional gut punch. I thought they were working up to something really emotive. Same. And it didn't happen. And this god, it's like, fuck you. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're from. I know that you make leviathans, but I don't care about you. You have no authority here. Like, go away.
Yeah, I love her stuffing him in the engine. I love
that was great.
Yeah.
It was dark.
But like, psych, you didn't actually. I got out on my own,
right?
And I just so you fought back. Okay, good enough.
Like what
and she isn't even that pissed off that he's just put her through all that shit.
Thank you. None of them are appropriately angry for this god's shenanigans. And,
exactly.
We
don't even get snarky Pilot. He at least gets snarky after people cut his arm off, but kill him and Moya and he's just gonna be like
he was mildly perturbed when he was dismembered, but put him into a coma and he's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just such an anticlimax.
But not in a good way. But so and Kahina mentioned the gunship thing again. Like, the test was not for Moya, the test was for you. Which, like, okay, it's cool. So you oppose gunship leviathans. I thought it was because you weren't a fan of violence, but I guess you're a fan of violence if it's to prevent people from making gunship leviathans. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, none whatsoever. Like I sat there thinking about it after the episode for a while, and I'm like, wait, did I miss something? Do I need to rewatch the episode? Because I was just kind of baffled.
Same.
At least we will always have the last episode, which had some beautiful moments, but this
last episode was
it was just like, okay, she found the will to fight, and that was it.
Yeah,
we just wanted her to find the will to fight, and
and it's strange because we don't often see this discombobulated writing on this show. The writing's usually, even if it's like a little subpar, it still usually makes sense. It's this feels broken and like an incomplete story. Like they didn't know how to finish it, so they like, psych, let's move on.
Yeah, and I think that's the hazard of seat of your pants writing. There's pluses and minuses to both seat of your pants or planning things out. And the seat of your pants one is sometimes you're going to write yourself into a corner. And in this kind of thing where like in a novel, you can go back and make it work. But in this kind of thing, when you've got the train, you're laying track as the train is running, sometimes, things are going to end this time they went, and it was nothing. It was and we shall undo. You
I
know,
would have
reverse.
much rather Kahenu stay dead, or at the very least, be wrathful in some way. I would have rather there be consequences. Than like a rug pull. And especially for Zahn's character, like you said earlier, Jack, it was a missed opportunity because it just steered away from all of the character angst that is baked into her right now.
Yeah. And fucking with the god could have led to some long-reaching consequences too.
Yeah,
like it. Yeah, that sounds amazing now that you've mentioned it. Yeah, just something, not just okay. You passed. See ya.
Yeah. But I think we beat this dead Leviathan.
Yes, we have. Thankfully, Moya and Pilot survive, and
we knew they would.
Yeah, of course. And we get one more bit of Moya speaking for herself. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want more speaking Moya. I really do. And especially like, she didn't really get an opportunity to communicate properly, you know? I don't know. Again, that sort of feels like a bit of a missed opportunity to make Moya seem like a realized character, you know, like an actual character.
Yeah. So back to the Planet Shakespeare drama. And we've talked about Aaron and the counselor and magic floppy-haired counselor dude.
Yeah. Prince Charming from Shrek is what I kept seeing.
He's just like, break his leg and you find a counselor. So and we've talked about John's we've talked about other stuff that is either bad or kind of weird. So let's talk about what's good.
Okay.
Hopefully that's all we have left.
I got some stuff to say about John that isn't necessarily good. So if someone else wants to say, lead you.
No, same. Yeah. You start off, Jack, because I'm on the same page.
Okay, well, can we switch back to stuff that we don't necessarily like?
Okay.
John, in terms of character, is my biggest mixed bag for this episode. Firstly, we get him back just before the 12-minute mark, and leading up to that, there is a ton of dialogue from him via this communication device, and I was just like, wait, so we haven't lost him at all? Like, again, that feels like a missed opportunity for, like, I thought we were going to get to see the crew fighting to get John back, but he was just there the whole time. Like, he was just there. Like,
he just wasn't able to be an active agent for a while.
Yeah. And it just, because he was there, he was talking, there were just no stakes. Like, I knew they weren't going to kill him. That's fine. But still, there was no stakes. Like, I felt nothing. I wasn't interested. It just, The closest thing I can say is when his head came off, I was like, oh my God, is he dead? What? But no, he's fine. You can just talk to this head. Sure,
he's fine for some reason.
Magic anti-decapitation clause.
John's plot irritated me as well until it didn't. It's my third. I think John's my third least favorite plot line in this episode. It was the same thing that you just said, Jack. And what I was hoping for in my predictions last time was I was hoping for kind of a John Light episode. You know, I feel like by shoehorning John back into it at the end of what, Act 2, Act 1, you sacrifice the opportunity for excellent character work with the rest of the characters.
Yeah.
And you could have kept in the psychic headset, which that was hilarious when he got his head put back on and she put on the headset and he was like mid scream, like that cracked me up. But you could have kept the psychic headset and, you know, the decapitation plot and all that kind of stuff and literally leaned into the title and made him his own MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm.
and let the other characters actually like do shit.
Yeah, we don't need to take him out of the plot to go bang the Deus Ex Machina girl.
He just came back and started John McClaning the shit out of it again. I was like, all right, cool.
Well, and by virtue of this being a John story, he is the plot. Like he took the A plot with him when he went to bang the spy and shag the spy, I should say. And it doesn't like that's terrible. What kind of A plot is that?
They take it to go and do nothing for a while. Yeah.
But then
just dick around.
Once he basically, like I said, post-coital with the spy is when John's plot came around for me as well. When it started to get some heft and some weight back into it, and some motion back into it, and him running back and engaging in the palace intrigue, and the final acid vat showdown, which I'm sure we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
All of that pulled me back into it once again, very much like I was saying at the beginning. First half was, second half was like
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Scorpius's fishing for head and monologuing, or do we just want to talk about Scorpius in the last in terms of the last stuff?
The main thing I want to say about Scorpius was that I actually really enjoyed him this episode because he felt he started to feel like a more rounded and fleshed out character. Like I've always been a fan. I find him super creepy. He looks amazing. He is menacing. Wayne Pigram is that the actor's name? Freaking steals every scene. He's great, but at the same time, he did sort of feel like a Dick Dastardly, mustache twirling bad guy. But here, he just felt like he just felt more real and motivated. And I loved the sort of uneasy truce buddy cop thing with Dargo. That was great. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it sort of sets some stakes that, for everything that he is ruthless, whatever for his biggest issue is with the Scarens.
Right.
Yeah, Scorpius was, I think, my favorite plot line in this episode. He was funny, he was menacing, he was fun to watch. I really liked his playing possum trick at the end. Like that was when he popped up and he just kind of was like, all right. I was like, yeah, that's my guy.
There's that scene where he's talking to John's head, and then he gets fired with lasers. So we find out it's the spy lady. I forget her name.
Genavia.
But Genavia, that's it. But I thought there were two assailants, because if you watch that scene, he gets shot at from two different directions. I swear he does. And so I was a little like, it's just a little detail then I noticed, but I was just like, wait, there was only one?
She flies out of nowhere and puts stilettos through people's brains. So maybe
she could have done some crazy gymnastics, Yeah.
She is a bit like convenience. Girl
and,
for convenience.
I loved the bit too where John spares him essentially. Just the whole performance from Wayne there was really good. I love that.
Anything on Darko and Shiana?
I really love this new sort of Dargo that we're seeing, this calm and measured, compassionate, like sort of, he's a total bro. And I said that last episode, I think, but I freaking I really like Dargo. I think season one, Dargo would have pulled out his sword and gone ape shit when he saw the headless John statue, whereas Dargo here was cool, calm, and collected, and he was better for it, I think.
Agreed. Okay, so confirm something for me, Saren. The Scarran, it's heat.
It's heat and obviously other things too. I don't know.
It's a little vague, isn't it?
It's very vague.
It better be other things, because Dargo is my fourth least favorite plot line in this episode. Purely because of the moment where the Scarran, microwaves him and is like, where is the Nabari? And Dargo goes, oh, she's over there, I guess. And they're like, what? He just, like, without any resistance at all, he just gave up Chiana? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was
It is a weird moment.
I was keeping it in mind. I was like, all this is heat. All this is heat. Then what the hell just happened?
Yeah. I don't know if it's heat or pain or psychic or some.
Yeah, that's the thing. It seems to be some mind control thing there too.
And I think, I don't know why Dargo would just be like, Gianna is just like, is he thinking of her because he's in pain? And the Skarin is just mistaking that because she does. Why would she know where John is?
Like he specifically says, Chiana thinks she knows.
Yeah, and why?
He gives her up.
Yeah, and why would she think he knows? She knows.
Yeah, actually, that's weird.
And then there's absolutely no angst from Dargo about this afterwards. He doesn't apologize to Chiana. He doesn't swear revenge on the Skarin for it. It's a very
he wants to find her. I love that line. How Batman was that?
But that's what he would have done anyway.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't make a lot of sense for him to do that, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for him not to have feelings about having done that.
Yeah.
I also felt it was kind of sucky that they damseled Chiana like that. Yes. I thought it would have been cool if because she's like dangling by this chain and then it gets lasered, I think, and starts to break. I think it would have been cool if at that point she was able to like break the rest of it herself and then do some flippy thing and save herself, because that seems like something she would be able to do. She seems like a very nimble character, you know.
Yeah. The Batmaning was cool. The damseling was not.
Yeah.
The Batmaning was cool. Dargo versus the Skarin was cool. Dargo teaming up with Scorpius was cool. Like all everything was cool except for where is Crichton? Gianna's got it.
And the damseling, it wasn't the worst I've ever seen. Like it wasn't terrible, but it was still just like, I think Chiana could get out of this herself, you know.
Yeah.
But that dive was freaking cool though. I loved that. That was really cool.
I don't know about you guys, but I was quite glad to see Clavor get nuked. He was playing his there was too much. He was the petty, annoying, whingy prince.
Yeah.
He was playing it to the nines, and like it was a good performance of that, but there was too much of it.
Yeah, and on the subject of Clavor, can I just say quickly, there's that scene at the start where the statue head comes off. Like, I was like, am I now watching a Shakespearean comedy? Because I was actually laughing at his performance. I'm like, wait, is this supposed to be funny? Or is this just a really hammy performance? I don't know.
I think it is supposed to be. I think it's both.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, we've gone from Shakespearean drama to Shakespearean comedy. Like it was so over the top. But I really like the actor though. The actor did a great job.
And monologuing at the head. I mean, but by the time it got to it, I'm like, kill him. Too much of him.
Absolutely.
Now.
Yeah.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio.
A fellow of infinite jest. Yeah.
So, what's up with the acid vat, man?
Convenient acid vat of convenience.
Honestly, that just
it looks cool, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
It does look cool.
It looks cool.
It looks menacing, but it looks menacing, but it doesn't really do shit, really. Like
no, it does. It doesn't. Acid doesn't see it. It doesn't do anything.
And I buy Clavor just dumping that in the acid and walking away, but Cargen not even thinking of posting guards.
Yeah.
Because we don't even see Scorpius take out guards or anything, do we?
No. It's just an open room with an acid vat in it.
And I'm just like, who made this and what is it for? Like, why do they have a big vat of acid that can melt the metal that the Empress of the Empress's daughter is now composed of? Like,
Cargen says something about it being a foundry.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I don't know
okay,
why
okay.
you have a foundry in your basement.
I don't know
Yeah.
why you need acid in a foundry.
That's a good point too, Josh. That is a great point.
Yeah, usually in a foundry it would be liquid metal.
Yeah. Molten metal, lots of heat.
To found things.
And doesn't I swear, don't we see people reaching into it too without gloves on? Like
Only
this acid
Scorpius.
doesn't.
Scorpius,
this acid doesn't
And
do
Scorpius
shit.
is always gloved.
Yeah,
Well, it ate Carven
It did eat Cargen really dramatically.
once he'd been shot.
And in a way that made me feel like he could have just like stood up and stepped out of the kiddie pool. But he was floundering on his back.
And I don't know if it had been a foundry where it had been liquid metal, that we would have had some cool like
that would have been better.
Yeah, and there was opportunities there for like cool sort of Terminator stuff.
Cargen was cool. I love the design, and I think Josh, you might agree with me here. There was something about him though. He looked like a Power Rangers villain. I felt like Rita Repulsa was about to blow him up and make him giant.
They will refine the makeup and puppetry, but when next we see
I'm sure they will. But
they always do that.
Don't get me wrong, it still looked good. It still looked good, but there was something very Power Rangers-y about it.
Yeah.
Like he was gonna
yeah, exactly. Yeah. To call in the swords, man.
I am so sorry to all of our listeners who can only hear me doing my scarring voice.
Yeah. I'm sorry, folks, that we are kind of ragging. There's good things on this episode.
It's a mixed bag.
Things are great.
It is. Yeah.
But there is a lot of why.
Per your prior point, Sara, I believe I have gotten it all out of my system, and I'm ready to praise the rest of the episode.
And I think I can speak for the three of us when I say that it's a net good, it's a net positive.
Yes.
Like it's we enjoyed it more than we didn't, you know.
Yeah. And we pan things with the understanding that the critic is always lesser than the creator because the creator made something.
Exactly.
We are
of course.
discussing the problems wrong with it, and
absolutely
that is a useful thing. But we honor the creators for creating something, even when it goes sideways.
Yeah,
it always have respect for the man in the arena.
Yeah, for the most part, it was still very competently made. It hadn't a budget. It was well constructed.
Are we apologizing?
I feel like we are. Yeah,
we did just go on quite a bit of a complainy thing. We are not doing CinemaSins.
No.
So with that, let's move on to the stuff we like about the episode.
I kind of already touched on it, but I just love Dargo throughout this whole episode. Dargo was great. And then that scene at the end with John and Tino and the princess. My freaking heart. And John gets to spend a moment with his daughter and just
oh my god,
that whole scene was great.
His daughter, it's an image of his daughter. She'll never experience that.
Thanks, Sara.
That is true. It looks like her. It feels like her. I believe, I read it as that is what his daughter is going to actually look like. But
and maybe she will get
to
experience a recording of this and know that her
father.
They
would have his DNA, right? I'm sure they would have his DNA. So,
I mean, that's how they made her.
No, that scene.
Oh, right, yeah.
Going from rolling my eyes to crying. Is my experience this episode. Like that scene where he gets to hug his daughter and gets to have that moment with his child, and then gets to turn around and have a really great moment with Tino and with Katrala and even with the Empress. Like
Katrala, that's her name. Sorry,
like the Empress was a really good anti-villain. She wasn't necessarily like evil. She was simply acting. What
she was motivated. Yeah.
And so in that regard, the Empress herself could still be sympathetic, but John taking a second to check in with Katrala and to acknowledge the bond that developed between them last episode, which is something else that I would like to see more of in this. Anyways, to acknowledge the bond that developed between the last episode, that was actually a good
Yeah.
It was a really touching moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I loved how the second John finds out that Control is pregnant, he's willing to undergo it again. He's like, nope, do it. Like I'm not leaving her alone. I'm going to be there for my child. Do it. Like I love that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I wonder. I've often wondered if Tyno is telling the truth or not about the machine would kill him.
Oh.
Or if he's giving John an out because he
does
knows John
play
needs an out.
He does play it a little suspiciously.
And also because he's in love with Katrala. So that would make sense.
I mean, maybe he is scrupulously honest and I am besmirching his character, but I have gone back and forth on that.
No, I think the performance, I think the actor's performance bears that out, the way that he's kind of like, he can't.
I think it's a little open-ended there. It could be either way.
It could be. I think it can be read either way. And remember, this is the solution that Finn proposed in the first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Although that was with John's participation. Let John know that he's giving a donation, not because
right.
There is our parallel with Moya, is that John was made a parent without his consent.
Oh, okay. And yeah, the romantic in me really loves the fact that Tyno and Katrali get to be together. That's just sweet.
Yes,
definitely same.
Yes, and it's I think it's a now looking back observation to think about the fact that he was made a father without his consent.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then I think everybody else in the situation, everybody probably thought he knew that that's what he was doing when he gave his DNA.
Yeah.
That's what I got whenever they projected out the image of the little boy in last episode.
And I guess John is okay with it.
The surprise for me was the timing. I guess I'd assumed that they'd get jiggy with it after they were debronzed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but they never did get jiggy with it. That's what
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like the timing was the surprise for me, but I feel like John knew that being a parent was part of the deal. It's just a question of when.
Yeah. It's just I think he thought he was going to be able to participate. And
it's funny though, because John at this point is had a thing for Aaron, Jelena, a weird thing with Zahn, and now Katrala is just like, dude, that guy's been around.
Katrala's got his kid.
He hasn't been with Katral, but they had a bond.
Yeah. And he gave a shit is what I really liked. Even though, he'd only really just met these people and was like thrust into this Shakespearean drama, but he actually cared, and that was good. Yeah. I love that.
He is the give a shit guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I love him checking that she consents to Tyno taking this place, and then the touching her statue gently and asking Tyno to take care of his girls.
Yeah. Stop. Oh God.
It was good. It was very good.
Yeah. That scene has the heart that is missing from so much of the rest of this episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That was great. And I think it is great that then they got consent, but I think it was also pretty obvious because they were in love with each other. But yeah, it's still great that they checked with her, rather than just sure. And then she wakes up and is like, I was kind of into that other dude,
Yeah, nobody checked with me. I mean, I know I was bronze, and I know as a princess, I haven't been able to make many choices in my life.
But you could have given me this one choice.
Yeah. But no, it's as a solution, it makes sense. John gets to leave, and she gets to rule. Everybody's saved from a Scaran invasion or a Sebastian invasion, or peacekeeper invasion, and things are stable, but there is the pain that he will never know his child.
And I wonder if there'll be some callback to it at some point. I really hope there will be, because that'd be great.
Same.
But who knows with this show, man? Holy shit! Like, I have no idea what's gonna happen next. But yeah, like I said though, like, I'm glad this trilogy was a thing. I had a good time with it, but I'm glad it's done, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Yeah. So, should we talk a bit more about Scorpius? Any thoughts on why John didn't kill him?
Mercy.
Yeah, John's just a merciful guy, and I think often when a bad guy gets spared, it's going to come around to bite John in the ass. I think that was the point, and that was the point. That's what Wayne Pigram was giving off at the end there.
That's the same reason he didn't kill Crace.
My boy Crace.
Okay. How about any thoughts on Chiara and Dargo's final scene? When she comes out of the shower and he's having feelings about his son and Crichton.
Yeah. That was sweet and just tender, and I liked it a lot.
It annoyed the hell out of me because it totally ignored Dargo's betrayal.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, I just got swept up in the emotion of it. But no, you're spot on.
I wasn't fooled. Writers,
no, they got me. They got me good.
Yeah, that last scene between him and Gianna was an absolute misfire for me.
Okay, I think it's beautiful, but I think the writers forgot what they'd written earlier.
Yeah, and I honestly didn't think about that until you guys brought it up, but it's absolutely right. Like, what he did was really shitty, and I don't get why. It does feel out of character for him, doesn't it?
Unless he should be beating himself up a lot more.
Especially
because that's the Dargo we know.
They didn't show us Gianna thinking she knew where John was, did they?
No, and just a thought too, like, Dargo is tough. Like, this guy's been tortured. I'm sure he could withstand some heat wavy ray for a couple of seconds. Like,
that's what I was thinking.
He gave it up very, very quickly.
Yeah,
that's why, like, I can only headcanon that by saying there was some mind controlled truthy serum aspect to it. I don't know.
I hope.
So the kiss scene.
Like I said,
the trio started with a kiss and it ends with a kiss.
I loved it, but I could have done without the fake out. Like, that really pissed me off. I didn't like it. I thought it was because, like, who is she acting to? No one. Us, like, of course, but we're not there. She's just like sadly staring off into space and then smiles. I'm like, fuck you, show, but thank you. Fuck you, but thank you.
Wait, you don't emote downstage?
No, I don't. You can't say I do.
What were you saying, Sara?
I was thinking of it as, like, she takes a minute to think before the smile spreads, rather than thinking of it as I didn't read it as a frown. I just read it as pensive.
But even John looks kind of sad. Like, I don't know.
I read it as she didn't want him to see how excited she was.
Oh, okay. No, I like that. I like that a lot, because that makes so much sense for her. Yeah. No. Okay. No, I like it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Like, I love her turning away. That she's not ready. Like, they both taste the sweet, but they're not ready to see each other taste the sweet.
I think I would have preferred if there was no dialogue in the scene instead of only John having dialogue.
Okay.
But Aaron having no dialogue was really, like, I don't know, just moving emotionally.
Yeah,
it was, and Claudia Black nailed it. So good.
She is so good.
Yeah, I love her so much.
Yeah, she's still not ready to say the words, but
when that day comes, Jack's gonna have lots of feelings. Lots of feelings.
Oh, there is quite the There's
Okay.
more,
Yeah.
there is a lot more story. There is a lot more story.
Okay, I'm excited.
And that is all I can say. So there's more story.
I'm glad because your poker face is sucking right now.
It is really hard to not say anything more than.
Cool. No, I'm excited.
No, did you think they were going to stop? No more. There's no more romance. These two hate
Of
each other
course not.
from now on. And
No, of course.
Genovia joins the crew and he starts dating her.
Yes.
I would have been so mad. Like, so mad.
I do like of the Genovia mess. I do like the we're not compatible. Yoink.
Yeah. Like it was wholesome banging. It was just unnecessary banging.
Wholesome bang.
No, I meant like just before they go in, where she offers to do the kiss, and are we
Yeah,
compatible?
yeah. No, I know what you meant, but
Yeah.
I meant their whole interaction was wholesome. It just was unnecessary.
I didn't really find it wholesome. I mostly found it meh. Like,
You didn't find it wholesome? It was very like, two consenting adults. It's the stuff you've been saying this whole time about, like
yeah,
everybody kissing everybody.
It's two consenting adults banging, but
Yeah.
but it's just kind of. I don't see any. It kind of annoys me that they romanticize it because I don't really buy John being in a place where he wants to bang someone other than Aaron.
That was my problem. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't see it as romantic. I just see it as wholesome. As it is only what it is for John. It is only a casual sexual encounter.
Yeah, like sometimes we just got physical needs, scratches that itches the need to be scratched.
Two consenting adults.
Yeah, I just don't see John as being the sort of person who does that when he's actively trying to build a relationship. He's not Bali. And like I think he sees I can sort of headcanon that he sees this as a way to sort of build connection with this person who has saved his life a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think had they filmed it as like just they banged and not been like, let's do the romantic music and the
that's the thing. Yeah,
lagoon and
it was very
post-coital cuddling on the beach.
Yeah,
why none of this fits the situation.
The way it was shot, the way it was composed, I was thinking they're trying to make me feel something here, but you haven't earned this. This isn't. Yeah.
I can read you what the creator has to say about it.
Okay.
This is what Rockneo Sabanan says about the scene. This was something the network wanted us to do. Make the show as sensual and sexy as we could. We didn't want to do soft porn, but we did want to push the limits. We weren't trying to draw people for period reasons, but there are things you can do on a cable that you can't do on regular networks. That's something that science fiction on television didn't often do before Farscape, because it wasn't on a regular network. Like Star Trek shows are, like the Star Trek shows are. They have to deal with a broader audience. So yeah, like the network wanted it sexier.
Yeah.
But we already had that with, Chiago banging off every wall.
Right. That was much better.
Yeah. And the fact that this feels so out of place is testament to that.
Give us them banging in the night in the lagoon at sunset with the rising music and the rising.
That would be amazing. It's rising and rising.
But John and Genovia, like that's a thruppity upright against a wall. That's not a yeah. But we're criticizing the whole sex scene discourse is currently rather stupid online. But I think like I like sex scenes, but I think they should serve the plot or the character in some way. And this was just like let's do a sexy scene that doesn't build our characters, doesn't really fit the situation, and doesn't move the plot. When we could have had Dargo and Chiana having a banging of time, and Chiago saying that and Chiana saying, "I have a thought as to where John is in the post-coital bliss," and that being drawn out of him by Cargen, and then having to deal with the stuff out of having something that was confided in an intimate moment. That was a betrayal of her, and having to deal with that. We could have done that with the space allotted for sexy times if we had Dargo and Chiana sexy times.
Yeah. And like having Dargo and Chiana in that scene, the way it was shot, if it was done exactly the same, except that their characters were switched, that scene would have meant something. It would have been sweet and tender, and seeing two characters that we know and love really connect with each other. That would have been beautiful.
And we could have intercut that with John and Genovia having up against a wall, having a bit of or on the beach, whatever.
Well, I still feel like I wish they didn't bang. That's how I feel myself.
Yeah, I don't particularly want them to bang, but if they do, make it fit the characters.
If they have to bang, just make it a little quick thing.
Yeah, if they have to have a meaningless quickie, then have a meaningless quickie.
Yeah.
Because Aaron doesn't actually have a hold on him. He's not actually in a committed relationship.
Well, no. He's single, sure.
Yeah, you said that though. You said, well, John's actively trying to build a relationship with Aaron. He's not in this scene. Like Aaron left as far as John knows. So so to me, there's no problem. I don't like the sex either. To be clear, I'm on the same page with you guys. Like this, Dargo and Gianna would have actually mattered, like all that kind of stuff. But to me, it's wholesome in that it's two consenting adults for whom this is all there is, and that's okay. It's very, it simply is casual sex for John.
Yeah.
But Jack has had an epiphany.
Yes.
I'm going to be so pissed if John brings up banging the spy lady, Genovia, to Aaron, and then it just creates drama and puts a roadblock between them again. I'm going to be so mad. I'm going to be so mad.
Why you got to jinx us?
I've got a bad feeling now. Oh God.
All right, C-3PO.
All right, let me put you out of your misery. That doesn't happen.
Oh, okay. Thank God. Thank God. Because that would have.
They quickly, for whatever reason, they were done. They had this thing out of to satisfy the network people, and then they moved on in memory.
Okay, that's good. Okay, good. Because I'm at this point,
we
we've had enough
talked about it more than they bother with it.
Yeah, like at this point, if they create more drama to keep them apart, it's going to be tiresome because we've already had enough of that. We've had so much.
I mean, we shall see. There are different things you can do. But yeah, I think if you're extending the will they won't they, you have to keep changing up what it is. But
I was already getting kind of sick of it at this point.
they are not. This is not a soap opera. Well, I mean, it kind of is, but it's not. Not like it's a space soap opera.
Especially these 3 episodes. Holy fuck!
Yeah, it is not. It is not like Home and Away type.
Home and Away. Oh God.
Or as the stomach turns stuff. We're not going to actually have the meaningless shag have meaning when Aaron knows that she doesn't have a hold on him because she's actually actively acted against as if she doesn't. And when she could well have banged Mr. Floppy-haired douchebag, except she wanted to go rock climbing instead.
when he kissed her, I so wanted her to punch him. Like
Same.
it felt slightly out of character that she didn't. Slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's just like, whatever, dude. Like I like that too. She's just like, what, you think you're Mr. Suave? Like, fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not entirely sure why she picked up the floppy-haired douchebag for the trip, except that you are supposed to have a buddy when you climb.
Yeah, and he had some really good dialogue to give her that was, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. In the end, he ended up being insightful. So
I guess it kind of makes sense because he's very clearly a lovey-dovey sort of himbo-y sort of character, you know. So I guess it makes sense coming from him, kind of. But still, he's no one. Like, we don't.
Yeah.
So what, you know?
He's the Lothario.
Yeah, he's an NPC in this story, essentially.
Yeah, and he switched from seducer NPC to counselor.
Yeah.
So the next episode will be Beware of Dog.
Okay.
And then
Interesting.
And then Won't Get Fooled Again.
You won't get fooled again.
Yeah.
So so for now, what was your favorite part?
Absolutely, the scene at the end with John, Catrala, and Tino. I love that John's just like, nope, I'm gonna be here for my baby, and Catrala. And then I love that Tino and Catrala get to be together, and I love that John gets a moment with his daughter. I love that scene so much.
100% the same, and specifically the part where he gets to hug his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the kiss, and especially the moment where they both look at us, like the silence of the whole thing, and then them both looking at us and kissing because they're not ready to look at each other, and just the slow smile while John kind of licks his lips. Yeah, I love that. I love that moment.
It was really well done.
So messy episode.
Yeah,
but
a
stuck
messy
the
trilogy.
Landing. Yeah, it stuck the landing.
It stuck the landing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad
the whole
we
trilogy
did
wasn't messy because the first episode is a banger in my mind.
Yeah,
all the hope speech and
It
second
definitely
episode was my
was
favorite.
And the second episode, and of course the Shiana and Dargo. And then the second episode breaks our hearts.
Second episode was my favorite. The first episode was really good. You're right about that.
Yeah, I can't pick. I kind of feel like they were both very strong. I would have to sit down and watch them again to make that decision. I don't know.
Yeah, I love the heartbreak in the second episode, but I think it's John. It's the whole speech going from why don't you stay and tell us about it, John? Straight through to will you be my best man? I'm with Shiana, John.
yeah. Actually, that's probably my favorite. Yeah,
that whole scene. And then in the second episode, the now I can only tell the truth.
Yeah. Like this one is definitely the weakest of the three. But I don't think any of them are bad by any means though. Like it's solid, just very clunky and weird in parts.
Mm-hmm. And we're not happy with the conclusion of Zahn's arc.
No, that is probably my least favorite of the whole everything in this trilogy. Yeah.
I think it was such a letdown after how awesome it was in the second episode.
Yeah. Like I was like, oh, the gods and the bill. Oh my god, wow! And then you have passed the test. Like, okay,
very special. Watch your friends die, sadly.
And the thing is too, like that's at this point, that sort of device is a trope. Like we've seen that millions of times in
Well,
other
she
places.
did literally put the god in the machine, as I said.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a test. It's a test. It's a dream. It's just never satisfying.
No, it's not. Because it's overdone is an aspect of why it's not satisfying.
Well, because it's not honest with the audience.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. It feels like a betrayal. Yeah, a fake out. Yeah.
I love a good twist, but don't lie to your audience. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I mean, mislead your audience. Yeah.
I was gonna say, you can lie to your audience.
Mislead us all the time.
Yeah.
But when you out and out lie, and especially for some like the lying, when you promise something and you give us nothing.
Yeah, because you can mislead or lie if you can look back and all the pieces still make sense.
Yeah, that's like the prestige in a magic trick that I want from writers, where they haven't actually lied. They just have been creative with the truth. Yeah,
the sort of like the red herring kind of thing.
Yeah, no, you can absolutely lie to the audience all you want, as long as you do it well.
Yes. And have it all make sense in hindsight. Yeah.
The most important thing is respect the audience.
Even that, you can disrespect the audience as long as you do it well. You
I
can do damn near anything as a writer as long as you do it well.
I think it's also don't treat the audience like idiots. Like all audiences, especially today, are smarter and wiser than you think they are.
That's true.
So don't spoon feed the audience is what I'd say.
We are smart, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. We're a smart trio of intellectuals.
Yeah, nerds.
Yeah, nerd.
Kremlin shirt, Star Trek signal, and welcome to Night Vale. Who are we to call anyone else nerds?
Oh, right. We're the experts because it takes one to know one.
Yeah. I prefer a writer who is dishonest with the truth rather than lie. Like
I'm gonna have to ask you to imagine that there's a difference between the two things you just said.
Well, when you use the truth, but you give us the wrong end of the stick, or you manipulate it somehow, so that when it comes to the end, we look back and go, "Oh yeah, you didn't actually lie to us.
That's called lying.
You just fucked with the truth."
That's literally lying. Go on.
No, lying is
fucked with the truth.
You can do it as long as you do it well.
Yeah. No, I think we have somewhat different definitions of what we're saying, but also like.
And I'm just here on the sidelines, like, fight.
It's like, how do you define lying? I mean, it's true for a given value of true if you look at it from a certain angle.
Because I kind of agree with both of you here. Like yeah.
As very Obi-Wan Kenobi of you.
Yeah. Oh no, writers should absolutely be a miserable bastard who is manipulating you and like showing you the misdirection and da. It's just the like promising something and giving us nothing. So, Jack, where can people find you?
Sara, my love, you can find me on Twitter at Lack of Surprise One, or one word with a number one at the end. You can find me over on our Discord server, Howdy Poppets, and I'm over on Instagram at Jack Kramme, lowercase, one word. Josh, my friend, what about you?
You know, I'm also on Instagram at Josh Gosdin, all lowercase, and really, if you can find me in your heart if you look deep enough. Sorry,
always there, buddy. Always there.
I make videos on YouTube as the Fat Culture Critic. I can also be found on Twitter as the Fat Culture Critic with the at Bluestock and Sara. I talk about fat rep and other kinds of marginalized people's representation. And yep.
Good stuff.
Shazam.
And join us in 2 weeks for Beware of Dog.
Be there or be square. Because suddenly it's 1950 again.
I was just going to let you have it. I wasn't going to.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Always got my back.
Just going to let you dig there.
Yeah.
But boy, do I dig.
Okay.
All right, friends.
And then 2 weeks after that, we will do, as we've said before, Won't Get Fooled Again. And we will get a reaction recorded for that for you.
Oh, cool.
For patrons. Cool. So if you want to see that, you can join our Patreon at
down in the
Muppet
thingy.
Sex and Trauma, patreon.com/Muppet Sex and Trauma.
Be there.
We have a couple reactions in that.
Yeah, we do.
So, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think with that, we say bye, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
The palace is in an uproar looking for John's head, but someone has had an interest in that head for some time. Scorpius. He fishes the head out of the convenient vat of convenient acid, but he's so pleased with himself he stops to monologue, and an unseen stranger shoots him and yoinks the head for themselves.
Oh, come on.
Come on. I was trying to take a drink of my ginger ale.
Come on.
Elsewhere in Misty Space, Zahn is working with a DRD on John's module as Kahenu approaches. He tells her she should leave, take a transport, and say